Thank you very much. Welcome to the, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Senate Committee on Education. We welcome those who are online and present by phone. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice Chair Dondero Loop.
Here.
Senator Hardy.
Here.
Senator Hammond.
Here.
Senator Lang.
Here.
Senator Buck.
Here.
Senator Donate.
Here.
Chair Dennis.
Here, thank you. So everyone's here. We do have a quorum. Just a reminder on housekeeping to keep yourself muted when you're not speaking. Committee information is available on Nellis online, which can be accessed through the legislature's website. You may also watch our meetings through Nellis or through our YouTube channel. If you're testifying or providing public comment, please register to participate through Nellis. You will receive an email confirmation with call-in information. Also, detailed instructions for participating are available on the help page, linked in a banner at the top of every page on Nellis. When testifying, state and spell your name and affiliation, if any. It will take public comment at the end of the meeting, and the public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person. Feel free to submit your comments also in writing and briefly summarize them in spoken testimony. And while I did mention public comment, we'll also have comment on the bills that we hear, those for and against and neutral. You may submit those written comments as outlined on the agenda by emailing or faxing them to our committee manager. And let's see, we will now we're on our agenda. We are going to hear today, we don't have any BDR introductions. However, we do have one bill, SB 76, which, as you've read through it, when it says revises provisions relating to education, it does do that, and it's got a lot of different pieces. My thought was that we would hear the bill today. I know that they are coming with some amendments. I know that there's some other concerns and others, so I really want to get all those out on the table today. See what the issues are, and so with that, we are going to hear from, I think we're going to start with the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ms. Joan Ebert.
Thank you, Chair Dennis, Vice Chair Dondero Loop. For the record, my name is Joan Ebert. I'm the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. I am here today presenting Senate Bill 76, which in the department we call our Education Agility Act. And yes, it is a bill. And I want to take a moment to thank your staff as well. A lot of moving parts in this, and they were very gracious in spending time for the first draft. And here we are presenting to you today. And we do know that there will be other moving parts as well. So this bill was pre-filed by Governor Sisolak on behalf of the Department of Education, but this bill was drafted on behalf of our district and school partners, our valued educators and staff, as well as our stakeholders. At the foundation of this bill is our commitment to future-proofing our work. This means that we're ensuring that the Department of Education and the educators across the state can be nimble in response to changing circumstances, especially in the light of our COVID-19 circumstance. Key to this is valuing the legislature and the governor's ongoing efforts to set the course for the future of education in Nevada, while allowing room for our partners and the Department of Education to implement a vision in support of our students. We've organized our presentation today in 3 buckets. The first one is amendments based on emerging needs that the department has identified since our initial BDR was submitted. Amendments based on stakeholder consultation. We're always open to ideas for improvement. And finally, an overview of the original proposal that has been maintained. The department is submitting an amendment that would restore language allowing the districts to continue serving as fiscal agents to the regional professional development programs, the RPDPs. This would preserve the local pay scales and employability of the staff in those areas. This amendment would also keep the department as the authority for the RPDPs. And for the first time, the RPDPs would truly be able to fulfill the intent of a statewide network of professional development meant to lift up the state's teachers. This is reflected in the proposed language in the amendment for the RPDPs to operate as a statewide network in service to all public charter teachers across the entire state. In addition, based on the work of the Blue Ribbon Commission for Globally Prepared Nevada, we're recommending a shift in our work around the competency-based education. Our stakeholder engagement in advance of this hearing is also reflected in our amendment. The Statewide Council for Financial Literacy language is in the amendment as restored language so that the council can continue to fill its intent with a sunset proposal date of December 2023. A response to our education community to repeal end of course exams is also in this statute. That, was a carryover from moving from college and career ready assessments, from the EOCs, the end of course exams, to the college and career ready assessments. And so there's a little bit of duplicity, overlap in those two areas, and so we have language there. We also added language for dual enrollment credits for universities outside of the state of Nevada. This clarifies that if a high school student attending one of our amazing schools wants to enroll in a course that is not available within the high school and or the university NSHE system here, that a child can enroll in a course outside of the state and receive high school credit for that course. We also shifted the approach regarding the Nevada Commission on Mentoring, so their work remains in statute. In reviewing this language, we realize it's the only place in statute that we have the work of the Commission on Mentoring. And so it repeals the department providing the administrative support, which allows the commission to operate independently. The two key buckets of the proposal remaining in this bill are aimed at aligning reporting requirements and recommendations to maximize the intent of boards, councils, and commissions. Section 1 of SB 76 updates the reporting of the state plan for improvement of pupils. The other day, the team presented that great work to you. And what the proposal here is moving from an annual revision of the strategic plan to have it every 5 years, which is an alignment of best practices. Section 7 replaces the annual report with the STIP. I wanted to ensure you that we conducted a comparison of the STIP and the annual report requirements, as well as the state accountability report, which is NRS 385A.400, which is available on our NevadaReportCard.com site. In the appendices, you can see that I also gave you the ability to look at how to access the report card if you wanted to delve into that information as well. Section 6 of SB 76 updates the Safe Voice reports due to the Office for Safe and Respectful Learning Environment on or before January 1st and July 1st of each year rather than quarterly, as informed by our stakeholder group. As conversations continue to progress, we would welcome additional recommendations that would support transparency and accountability while helping make our education system become more agile. We've also made recommendations regarding maximizing the work, as noted before, of all of these councils. In an ideal world, every statutory council would have appointees within a month of being established and a meeting within a month of that where there's a robust agenda and a quorum to act on the work. Unfortunately, we are far from that ideal world. And in the COVID, this course and work has been made even more clear than ever. The key purpose we know of boards, commissions, and councils, which I'll refer to as councils going forward, is to engage a representative group of stakeholders with expertise on the subject at hand to support our efforts to improve student achievement and educator effectiveness. We need to identify people who are champions of the work, as well as people who have doubts, and even people who are new to the work, so that they can plan policies with a lens that all people will have to move forward toward a North Star. We need to have productive meetings and to meet only when the work requires it, not because there's a minimum or set number that is required to meet. If a topic has risen to the legislature's attention, it is fair to say that there's a sense of urgency and the need to act on behalf of the students and educators. Advancing work in this collaborative and timely way is something NDE has experience with. I want to give you an example that does not have a statutory mandate, but was critical during this crisis, and that is the Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada. Here you can see the charge of the commission, which grew out of needs identified during the COVID-19 response and recovery. The commission built upon the work of the Competency-Based Education Network noted in Section 19 of SB 76, which is one of our councils that has struggled to advance its agenda because they could not meet quorum. The Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada demonstrates that work can successfully move forward for the betterment of student outcomes, and therefore the department's amendment also includes a repeal of the Competency-Based Education Network. You can see the Blue Ribbon Commission brought together a high caliber roster of K-12 and higher education professionals, including superintendents, principals, teachers, business partners, parents, legislators, education advocates, and most importantly, students themselves who represent our state. The group proposed more than a dozen recommendations on how to update statute for our students' current needs, and did so over the course of just 4 meetings that lasted less than 8 hours. I want to specifically thank our chair, Senator Dennis, and Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, as well as Tolles, who participated in the Blue Ribbon Commission, as well as the legislative staff who attended to gain background knowledge of policy recommendations forthcoming in this session. Senator Dennis, I'd like to invite you to share any learnings there with that commission if you so choose, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you. I think it was an effective way to really discuss some important issues in a quick manner. We were able to get folks there to participate, and I appreciate and actually some of the work from that committee I'm bringing forward in a bill on competency-based education. So it was a good way to bring the right people together from the education community and community as a whole, for that matter, to be able to talk about some important issues. So I appreciated the opportunity to be able to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. Currently, the department supports more than 24 statutory boards, councils, and commissions, with more members among them than we have staff in the Department of Education. Despite our best efforts, the department continues to encounter significant delays and obstacles to supporting these councils and the work required. We have a challenge of identifying individuals who are eligible, sometimes to meet the narrow specifications in statute, as well as qualified, interested, and available for the meetings. In addition, we face delays in working with appointing authorities to confirm appointments if and when qualified individuals have applied for these positions. We're also concerned that the need for formal appointments limit the pool of individuals we are likely to attract and confirm to these councils. Of course, supporting 25 councils is a large time and resource burden, but our most critical concern is that the need to focus on the intended outcome of supporting student achievement and educator effectiveness. Our current system bases the success of a council on how well they meet quorum, how many legislative appointments they have secured, and how well they are staffed. It takes hundreds of hours of staff time to organize, facilitate these meetings, creating minutes, managing appointments, processing travel expenses, per diems, and actually prepare content to have these productive meetings. None of these tasks guarantee progress on student outcomes as a result of these meetings. We spend tens of thousands of dollars each year to staff and report on the councils, but meeting a reporting requirement doesn't increase the proficiency of our students. And it simply increases the number of advisory groups that we have to staff. What SB 76 aims to do is allow us to be a nimble and responsive team so we can lead with student outcomes in mind. We want to judge our success on whether we move the dial on student outcomes, not whether we have filled council vacancies or that we have filed any reports that may sit on a shelf. We also have a number of councils that regularly have to council meetings and have not been able to take action for months at a time or the inability to find convenient meeting times to have a quorum. So today, I have an example for you. We have engaged with stakeholders regarding SB 76, and 2 of the council meetings our staff were scheduled to join in did not make quorum, and therefore they did not have the opportunity to review this bill. Of the past 7 meetings called by the Council on Academic Standards, 2 were canceled due to lack of quorum. While we are on the topic of the Council to establish academic standards, I also want to highlight why we're looking to conclude this specific council. This slide provides an overview of the extensive work that our stakeholders engage in and that contribute to the development of all of our standards. You can see in the process that on the right that we have bolded 2 items which involve the council: approval to review standards and approval of recommended revisions. If the experts at the department, in consultation with our education community, feel the need to review standards, we should not need to seek yet another council's permission to review those standards. The standards development process includes convening an expert review committee. Previous review committees have included diverse representation from educators and content experts across geographic boundaries, types of communities, types of schools, and grade levels. Also, because of our focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion, all of our working groups are comprised to maximize the representation of Nevada along the lines of race, ethnicity, multiliteracy, and years of service, to name just a few of the indicators that are used. In addition, you can see that the State Board of Education approves standards after they have been through the public hearing, comment, and edits as necessary based on feedback. So we do have an oversight group with the State Board of Education as well as the legislature, always looking at the standards and our expectations for our children. This council is just an additional layer in the approval process, and as you can see here is one of the reasons that we're moving forward with the recommendations. With that, I will end that we are a proud, small, nimble department, and I appreciate your support of all of the efforts that we have as we move forward and as we look to maximizing the time and resources that we have to make a difference with our students and educators across the state. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and we stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Let's start. I'm going to start with Vice Chair Dondero Loop.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you so much, Superintendent Ebert. I know this is a big undertaking, and some of it is hard because we've had those commissions and boards in place. I did want to ask a couple of questions just to start with, and then I'll circle back around if nobody else has the same questions. So a lot of work has been done over the financial literacy in the last few years. And I know that we really haven't even had the financial literacy in place that long. I think it was 2019, possibly, when it was formed. And I know that we purposely put the business people in there so that we had that input, so they were working together. Is there any thought process? Can you walk me through that little piece of the financial literacy being excluded?
Just thank you for the opportunity.
Superintendent, when we talk about, since we're going to have a lot of different issues that we're talking about, if you could refer the section that we're talking about, so that if members want to look that up, they can.
Absolutely.
If you have it.
So financial literacy is in section 9. And actually, Senator Loop, I'm glad you have me, Senator Loop, have me going back over that specific section. So initially looking across the board and creating efficiency for our state, we looked at all of the councils. Then through conversation with staff and community members, we took each council one at a time. So the Finance Council, Financial Literacy Council, was one that we're actually putting back in because, to your point, they were a council that was established during the 19 session. And it's a perfect example. The appointments and the count, because how long it took for the appointments to be made and the first meeting, it was almost 7 months before the first meeting was held. Once the first meeting was held and the work has transpired, they've been moving along, and we still need their expertise as we embark on this work. So in our amendment for today, what we're asking is to sunset the council in 2023.
So is there, as a follow-up to that, then if you get to let's say you get to 2023 and you say, you know, this has been a good thing, will you go back in and unsunset, or will you need a bill, or how will that work?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, thank you for the follow-up question. And so there's a couple ways that we can choose to go, that you can choose to go. One is to continue the council in statute. Another, just like I want to emphasize, the work of these councils will continue. They will just not be in the structure that it currently is, which causes the backlog, if you will, in getting the work done. So if the council and their work is where we need to go as a state, they absolutely would remain. And if you chose as a legislature to keep them in statute, then it could be done that way, or we could continue the work through the Department of Education with our own staff, as well as the expertise of the business community.
I appreciate that answer, and I will sit quietly and listen to other questions from other members, and I may follow up later. Thank you very much, Superintendent. We appreciate your help.
Okay, who else has a question? Okay, I'm going to go just in the order that I'm seeing it. Senator Buck, and then I'll go to Senator Hammond, and then who else had their hand up?
Thank you so much, Chair Dennis, Superintendent Ebert. Being an educator myself, I sure do appreciate, the whole regional professional development plan, and you synthesizing that or taking that kind of under your wing to make sure that the needs of the district and charter schools are addressed based on what they need and what potentially that they want in professional development. I also love that you're synthesizing this, because it does seem like it's quite the comprehensive list. I was wondering if on page 13 of the PowerPoint, if that is the comprehensive list of all these different boards, commissions, councils that you are all dealing with, or are there more in addition to this? And if there are, if you could send me a list of that, and then their purpose, or even the purpose of each of these, I would just like to, take that all in. And then secondly, if I may, Chair, how do you guarantee then, I think the biggest concern is, how do you guarantee that you're getting input from all these stakeholder groups, and so that they do truly have a voice? But yet, I get it. This would be, just an incredible beast to deal with. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you, Senator Bach. It's good to see you. Superintendent Ebert, for the record, on slide 13, you do see these 25 groups that we currently support.
Hold on one second. I want to make sure that that they're able to put that up on the screen. If our staff can make sure that so that way as you talk about it, we could see that we can actually see it. Can BPS get that up on the screen? Or
Thank you, Chair. Let me check that.
I see it.
One moment. So you're not able to see the PowerPoint from Department of Ed?
oh, probably, yeah, sorry. I had mine set. I didn't have it set to the speaker, so I guess it's up now. Thank you. That was my insight.
So thank you again, Superintendent Ebert, for the record. So these are the council's task force that we support. If you'll notice, not all of these are being asked to be sunsetted at this point in time. For example, we still have the number 13, the Teachers and Leaders Council. We have the Committee of Practitioners. Those are required, one is in statute still, and the other one is a U.S. Department of Education requirement. So those federal pieces are still there, and then other components that have the work is ongoing. They've been successful. It's timely. So it's not all 25 in this list that we're asking for in this bill. So thank you for that opportunity to clarify. The diversity of our state is, one that is beautiful to see. All the colors, all the people that we support across the languages. It is incumbent upon us as a state and all of you to make sure that voice, that diversity is represented. And so making sure that structure starts and responsibility with the Department of Education, with you as a legislative body, with the governor, that when we pull and iterate the work that we do. I think one of the things, and I know all of you know that I spent 4 years in New York, and it was a great structure. I think some of it you'll see that I have here is making sure that any work that is done from the department, and I'll speak because that's what you have charged me, the governor's charged me with, is that if we develop things and expectations, that the voice of every constituent that wants to be involved, there's some folks that don't want to be involved, that they have the opportunity to review. And that's part of one of our values in our presentation last week, transparency, that the information is out there in advance, just like this bill was posted over 2 months ago. And we had the opportunity to have conversation with our constituents. I am aware that there are some people that would like to have things changed. I've asked them to, great, let's have a conversation. Let's look at language so that we make sure that as the adults in the room, we're doing what's best for children. And that's where the core of our work has been. So I hope that I was able to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Chair Dennis. Thank you, Superintendent Ebert.
Okay, Senator Hammond.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good to see you again, Superintendent. And I hope I'm just going to talk candidly with you a little bit about my reading of the bill. I'm going to get to my question. Actually, Senator Loop, Senator Loop actually answered one question I had. But when I first read the bill, at first blush, I think what a lot of people are reading is a lot of this stuff that a lot of these commissions that we've created or councils we've created, we're going to just put them under the NDE, and it just seems like we're putting all of that in one area. Maybe that's too much, and I'm sure a lot of people probably have the same reaction. Then you go in and you kind of read a little bit more deeply to find out, what's going on there. I just wanted to get, I just want to make sure that everybody, I like plain language. And so it sounds like your answer to Senator Dondero Loop was that council that we're going to sunset, like any other council, we could, again, come up with a structure and say that you're going to do a council. The council has this task to do, and the people who are going to make up the council are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, making sure that we have diversity on the council, voices from all over the place. But I think what I'm hearing is that we have a lot of commissions and councils and other things, just like we have statewide. And I think, perhaps we have too many of them. And I think that the governor's office is having they must have a difficult task in trying to staff every one of these. And I'm hoping, and I wish I could change this so I'm not looking at myself and I could see your reaction, because I can't get this picture to change. It's frustrating. But anyway, I just kind of look at it and I think you must be also having a difficult time staffing these councils, these commissions, and so forth. Am I right in saying that before I continue on with my question?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, and it's good to see. I'm sure everybody enjoys seeing your face as well. So here we go. There you go. And now you have my face.
There you go.
That being said, so we currently staff all, your first comment of, oh my goodness, now the department's going to have all this work to do. Well, it's, oh my goodness, all the department does already have the work is already completed with the department as the lead. And so the work and intent is to not have the work go away. It's to do the work differently. And that's why the Blue Ribbon Commission that was pulled together, I wanted to really use that as an example of how we can bring together a group of constituents, look at the problem that we have, bring solutions to the legislature, which, as Senator Dennis noted, he'll be bringing a bill forward and we brought in actually national expertise and called upon other states to see what they're doing with competency-based learning, especially during this pandemic.
Okay.
So the work is here, it's just doing it differently.
Yes, and that's what I was kind of getting at. But I guess one of the things that came to my mind was when you say differently, and you correct me if I'm wrong when you give an answer, but when you're talking about differently, if you do a board, if you're staffing, if you're putting people on boards and commissions, you can't serve on too many in the state, right? So if you serve on one board or commission, you can't serve on 2, 3, 4, 5 boards. But if we do it differently and we put all this under your auspice, then you actually can use people more than once. You can use them here or you can use them there, depending on their availability, their willingness to do it, and so forth. That's one. I kind of wanted to know if that's correct, because I think that's kind of what we're getting at, with that flexibility or that differently model is about getting people on there that we can, from different, just staffing them. But that goes back to then Senator Buck's question, is how do we maintain, if that's true and we keep putting the same people on a lot of the councils and boards and commissions, how do we make sure that we still have that diversity of opinion coming into your office?
Thank you, Superintendent Ebert, for the record. So that is not the intent. I think, again, with transparency, posting who is serving, personally, I have always been one to make sure that there are diverse voices around the table. And if someone says they're not at the table and they need to be, we'll listen. And actually, I want to say too, all the voices will be heard with all the information that is always shared and the feedback gathered.
Would we also be getting, and I'll ask this last thing and then I'll turn it over, because I know other people have questions, and like Senator Dondero Loop, I probably have another one later on, but I want other people to ask questions as well. There is a report, or there is paperwork that comes out and says these are the people who are on these boards and commissions. So it's transparent. People get to see that, and that comes out how often?
So those are posted on our website, and as members change, they're updated. So almost instantaneously, you went to our website, you'll see the members of any committee or commission at this point in time.
Yeah, and I think I just want to make sure that got on the record in case anybody's wondering. It's available. It's always out there. You can get it up the update, so everybody knows who's on these boards and commissions. So even if there are somebody, and I guess there's one thing that I didn't get an answer to, and that is if it stays as is and it's a board, commission, council, is it true that you can only serve on one at a time? But if it's under your direction, under your office, then you can put somebody on maybe two, maybe three, and that does help out because sometimes we can't find people to serve on them.
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, I am not aware specifically if that is in statute that people cannot serve. I would need to ask actually one of friends.
Fine, and I can wait for an answer later on as well. Or get
this is Senator Dennis. We could probably ask our legal staff if that's they could probably clarify that too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Asher Killian, Committee Counsel. Yes, that is true. It's NRS 232A020 that limits gubernatorial appointments to only serving on one board, commission, body, et cetera, at a time.
Thank you, Mr. Killian. And so I'll turn over my time to somebody else. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you. Superintendent, a couple things I want you to address. The bill says abolishing, right? But you're not abolishing what those commissions are doing, correct?
For the record, Superintendent Ebert, that is correct.
So those you would still be, your charge would still be to get that. So like, for example, the Commission on Educational Technology, the work that they do would still go on, but you would have that in whatever the best, most efficient way to do that, right?
Thank you, Superintendent Ebert, for the record. Yes, what I would offer you is our Nevada Digital Learning Collaborative, which we spun up. So we could not get the Mission on Educational Technology together, and so we spun up the Digital Learning Collaborative, which has been amazing, teachers coming together and supporting across the state the movement in that area. So yes, that work that was given to the commission back in 1996, I believe, continues in a much different way. That was Governor Miller who set forth that commission with $60 million to do one computer in every single classroom. And we were all very excited at that point in time to have the commission put together, but we've definitely evolved and moved on from that time period.
Yeah, and so, and actually that brings back memories. I was actually a parent representative on that first commission, and way back then, before I was in the legislature. But the other question that I would ask is, what about who is going to appoint those folks? You just mentioned an example with the Commission on Education Technology. I mean, were there, in the Commission on Education Technology, we had folks that were parents as well as business people, as well as teachers. And how is that part going to continue to make sure that you have that in all the different things that you're creating, the groups that you're creating?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record. So I am blessed to work with the State Board of Education, and for the diversity component, we actually started a new application process for all of our committees and commissions that ask a wide range of questions if people so choose to self-identify through that process. And so that's one layer to make sure that the diversity of the commission. Also, too, as the state superintendent, I have a stakeholder group that I work with, which is representative of many organizations across our state, inclusive of PTA, some of the unions, school districts. I turn to them, I turn to the RPDPs, and we turn to many other organizations that work with us across the state to make sure that the invitation is open to those that wish to serve. From there, they fill in the application. We have the application process comes in, and then we pull together the group as we did with the DLC, as I mentioned earlier, and the Blue Ribbon Commission.
So then the only other, the question that comes to mind then is, so, we love the work you're doing. We love what you do. But you know, in the future, how do we ensure that the person that follows you is going to continue to do this? Because you know, right now, the way that it's set, specific things have to happen because it's in the statutes. So how do you address that issue?
Thank you. So it's exactly what we're doing right now. Right, I'm sorry, Superintendent Ebert, for the record, is exactly what we're doing right now. You, as the legislative body, the governor, set the expectation for the state as a whole. And then through the various then through the Legislative Committee on Education, in the interim session, those pieces with the State Board of Education, as well as the U.S. Department of Education. There are many layers within the educational system for accountability and or the enactment of new regulations or policy as you see fit.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Who else has questions? Senator Dondero Loop.
Thank you. As a follow-up to the chair's question about what happens when we move on and 5 years, 10 years from now, we have a different superintendent. With that being said, while I appreciate that, if somebody new came in, is the suggestion that if they saw fit, they could bring back all these boards and start over with the legislature? Is that what I'm hearing?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, yes, that is correct.
Okay. The other thing is, and I know this is in your amendment, and if you'd rather wait till somebody does that, I'm okay with it, but I'd like to have an RPDP discussion and how that's changing and what's going to happen and where will our school districts be with that.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Superintendent Ebert, for the record, we have had conversations in the last week with our constituents that would like to revisit what is currently proposed in Senate Bill 76 in regard to RPDP. So always happy to have those conversations. And the very first thing that I always ask is, so what additional language amendment would you like to see move forward? And my understanding is that we'll have some conversation in the next week over some proposals that people would like to talk about.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you for all your expertise and your staff. They are full of information and very amazing. Thank you.
This is Chair Dennis. I will make the comment that I know that there are going to be some recommendations, perhaps some amendments in some of the comments that will come after from folks. So I know RPDP is one of those. Okay, who else has questions? Let me make sure.
Senator Lang has her hand up, but that might be there for a long time. I'm not sure.
Senator Lang, do you have your hand up? I don't see it on my screen.
I do have my hand up.
Okay, I don't see it on my screen, so yes.
Oh, it's right up there. Okay, so thank you, Chair Dennis. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into this, but I personally am not willing to give up yet on the commissions. I think that these groups of people that meet, while I think there are a lot, I am willing to look at making the numbers smaller. I think they represent people in Nevada that have a stake in the education of our children. And I think that's really important. And I think that bringing all of it to the Department of Education in some ways mutes the voices of other Nevadans. And so I hear what you're saying. I just have some personal issues, I guess, with that. I'm also concerned as I look at this. It seems like let's just take the safety committee, where like getting rid of the whole safety committee. I just feel like in our school district, safety is a huge concern. The people on this committee are all really important people, and I think we should have more conversation probably on what committees we should keep and maybe what committees maybe aren't relevant at this point. I just think for me to sit, and I've spent a lot of time reading through this, but to sit here and just say we're going to get rid of, and this I'm just going to throw out a number, 10 committees or councils, maybe we need to have more discussion about what we should keep and what we shouldn't keep.
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, thank you, Senator Lang. In section 5, just to point out that since you brought up the school safety, instead of having it as a committee, we have it as an advisory. So that work would continue in an advisory. And yes, looking at the other committees, if that's the will of this group, then we absolutely would do that.
Okay. Who else? Senator Hardy, do you have a question? I'm just going to ask everybody since I can't see if you have a little hand up or not. So. Or Senator Donate, do you have any questions? Okay. Senator Hammond, do you have some additional questions? I know you mentioned earlier. And then I see Senator Buck has her hand up. So, Senator Hammond.
Yes, I do have one additional question, and this is regarding your slide number 9, where it talks about section 6 and the reporting due on safety. You'd see time and time again the changes to reporting requirements, in some cases going from quarterly to every 6 months, maybe even to a year. So when it pertains to Safe Voice, I just kind of wanted to see why you felt the need to change it from a quarterly report to every 6 months. It looks like January 1st and then July 1st. What advantages do you have by doing that? And if you want to extrapolate and talk about reporting in general, because there's a lot of that throughout the bill, you can certainly comment on that if you feel the need. I can go offline on that if you'd like, but this one in particular, I just want to kind of get an idea of what you were coming up against when you're thinking maybe every 6 months is better than every quarter.
Thank you, Senator Hammond. For the record, Superintendent Ebert, that actually came through stakeholder feedback that we had in regard to the reporting. If a school district wanted to report more often, they absolutely could. For us, these are reports, twice a year. We still want the data, but the quarterly reports, the timing on that and the work behind those, our stakeholder group said that moving to the twice a year as opposed to 4 times a year, we would still gain the same information and be able to take the same necessary steps that we needed to within our work. I would also say that internally with the Department of Education, we actually, for those Safe Voice and other things, monitor that almost on a daily basis. So if we see uptick in certain areas of our state, we are heavily involved with the Department of Health and Human Resources and other constituents. So this is a report, not a tracking and system that we can react to in real time. And so moving it from quarterly to biannually is a determination that we would like to move forward with.
And I appreciate that answer. Thank you very much. And just out of curiosity, can you give us sort of a sampling of some of the stakeholders you had involved in that feedback? And you can look it up and give me some feedback on that later if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. My apologies. I was on mute. So we have the largest school districts in our state, as well as NAS and other constituent groups.
Thank you, Superintendent. That's all I have.
Thank you. Senator Buck.
Thank you so much, Chair Dennis. Thank you, Superintendent Ebert. Just a quick comment, being a building leader myself and then a system leader, the reports, there's so many reports that come that oftentimes our focus is, so I can see where you would get that result from your constituency, Ms. Ebert. And then also, whether you keep, combine, or delete, rework to advisory, it sounds like what I'm hearing is that the work will continue to go on. And then all 25 are good intentioned, I think, at the time. And I'm sure, but 25 separate ones seems to overburden the work with too much minutia. And that gets in the way of how the work gets done for students. And I've seen it from the building level. I've seen it from the superintendency level or executive director level. And so I do appreciate you combining and just making it more simplified so that people can be involved, but it's the right people and at the table, and we get input from all stakeholders. And that's it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I look at this, all of these different people and not being able to overlap assignments, but having consistency with getting diversity. One of the challenges I think that people have in volunteering, as it were, is they have to fill out financial disclosures. They have to do the same things we do and, be subject to ethics laws and open meeting laws. And so when you do this shift to advisory groups, what is their obligation or does it go away for their advisory groups with ethics laws, open meeting laws, and financial disclosures?
You're muted if you're talking.
Thank you, Senator Hardy, for the question. That is one area that we would not have ethics as you do, and the governor does with his appointments. So that was not contemplated in this work.
Kudos for you. I think you'll find people more apt to be involved when they don't have some of the, quote, transparencies about their own personal financial disclosures, et cetera. So I think this is a good idea. I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Let me, before we get to the testimony for or against and neutral, my thought today was that we would hear the bill. Let's see what the issues are. We're going to hear from those that have some amendments, as well as that don't like the bill, or neutral on it. And then we'll have a chance to ask some more questions after that, if you have any at that point. And then we'll have time to think about it and see if there's something that works that we could support. So that's kind of the process. And there's nothing to keep us from having another hearing on this once we get all these amendments and put those all in, and perhaps we'll have another hearing just to make sure that everybody knows what's in there, because there's a lot of things in there. So with that, we are going to, if I could find my notes, we're going to go to the public testimony, and we are going to first start with those that are in support of the bill. Let me see if I've got this right. So those that are in support of Senate Bill 76, and let me give you some heads up for those that are testifying. If you have an amendment and that amendment fixes your issue, but you like the rest of it, then go ahead and come up in support. If you just don't like the bill and don't support it at all, then oppose it. If you have some issues and you want to do some amendments but still there's some other issues there, then do neutral. So I think the most important thing is just kind of hear your thoughts as you give your testimony today. So we'll start with those that are in support of the bill. And so if BPS could please add the first first caller.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on SB 76, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, for callers that had just joined, if you want to testify in support on SB 76, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 927, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. Caller with the last 3 digits of 927, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. Once again, caller with the last 3 digits of 927, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hello, committee and committee members. I am so sorry about that. I accidentally kept muting myself. My name is Hava Ahmed, H-A-W-A-H-A-H-M-A-D, and I am the lobbyist for the Clark County Education Association. We are in support of this bill, but our president will be giving our comments on support. I just wanted to talk to you guys about our proposed amendment, which can be found under the exhibit. And so first, I'm going to apologize because I misspelled amendment at the top, and that is completely on me. But what this amendment does is it is seen as friendly from my discussions with the Department of Education, but we are asking to amend Section 31C to make it 3 teachers submitted by the Nevada State Education Association, and the creation of a new subsection D in which 1 teacher would be submitted from a list of nominees from the Clark County Education Association. In addition to that, we are also asking that we relabel the current Section 31D to Section 31E and revise it to include the Clark County Education Association as one of the associations to give a list of potential nominees to the governor's office.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? I think it's pretty clear. All right. Thank you very much. So we can go on.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 305, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis, Vice Chair Dondera Loop, and members of the Senate Committee on Education. For the record, my name is Carl Catarata, K-A-R-L, last name Catarata, C-A-T-A-R-A-T-A. And I serve as the Youth Commissioner for the Nevada Advisory Commission on Mentoring, for NCOM for short. I have the distinct honor to represent NCOM today to discuss the proposed wording in support with NDE's current updated amendment on stakeholder improvements to keep NCOM. Specifically, on behalf of NCOM, our goal is to remain as an independent commission supporting our statewide mentoring objectives. As noted per today's NDE PowerPoint, and I quote, restoring language related to NCOM and relieves the department, NDE, of administrative support for the commission. You know, during this ongoing pandemic, the outcomes of young people in Nevada have been of a great concern to many. In my short time as a youth commissioner, I've had the distinct privilege to, in Superintendent Ebert's words, being nimble, right? Being nimble when it comes to collecting stories, collaborating with partners, and strategizing on mentorship outcomes across our state, and hearing and making sure that how we find hope through mentorship during this difficult time. While we were definitely challenged without funding, you know, those committed to this commission still got by to deliver for students in different ways. One example was our partnership when it came to the UNLV College of Liberal Arts. I had the opportunity to work with the Director of Student and Community Engagement when it came to opening up new pathways for students to get more internship and mentoring opportunities in local governments that help them in their academic studies and for college credit. NCOM specifically was created by the late Assemblyman Tyrone Thompson, and it is also reflected in me personally when he was my mentor. In my time as a youth commissioner, I found that my volunteer experience has come full circle. Now, my NCOM colleagues and I will continue his work behind the scenes. So to close off, I hope that you all consider keeping the state entity that regularly brings together mentoring leaders across our state and vote in the affirmative for the NCOM amendment this session. The commission is always willing to work with you all on this committee and NDE to continue successful mentoring outcomes while being frugal and efficient about resources for our youth throughout this state. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, and you're right on time, 2 minutes. Thank you. Let's go to the next one.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 987, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Marie Nisus, Marieneissess. Hello, and thank you, Committee Chair Dennis and committee members. My name is Marie Nisus, President of the Clark County Education Association. The Clark County Education represents more than 18,000 licensed professionals in the Clark County School District. We are the largest independent teachers union in the country and in the state of Nevada, and the bargaining partner of the Clark County School District. We promote and engage in bipartisan advocacy for advancing public education in Nevada. CCEA would like to voice our support for Senate Bill 76 and would like to thank the Department of Education for bringing forth this bill. As citizens of Nevada have witnessed over the last year, it is important for our educational system to be both responsive to emerging needs and efficient in carrying forth needed adjustments to our K-12 public education system. CCEA believes that the removal of the committees that are duplicative will increase the department's responsiveness to address the needs of our students and our teachers. Though we support this bill, CCEA cautions the department that the removal of committees may also lead to an absence of educator voice in the decision-making process, leading to misinformed decisions made that will impact educators and students across the state. For that reason, CCEA has worked alongside the department to propose a friendly amendment that acknowledges the importance of educator representation of the largest employee organization in the state on the Teachers and Leaders Council. This inclusion of CCEA in SB 76 further aligns the equity interests of Clark County educators to promote fair representation at the state level. We thank Deputy Superintendent Gonzalez and Superintendent Ebert for their collaboration. CCA looks forward to developing our relationship with the department this committee, with every stakeholder in the state of Nevada as we return to in-person learning and work towards our goals of workforce development, economic diversification, strengthening the K-12 education delivery system, and most importantly, supporting the needs of our educators to enhance the opportunities available to our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the next caller.
Callers that have recently joined, we are currently on support of SB 76. If you'd like to testify in support of SB 76, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no more callers in support of the bill at this time.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to, now we hear testimony in opposition to the bill, to Senate Bill 76.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on SB 76, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 577, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon. Chris Daly, D-A-L-Y, Nevada State Education Association, the voice of Nevada educators for over 120 years. NSEA opposes SB 76 and has strong concerns regarding proposals to eliminate the council to establish academic standards and the governing bodies of the regional professional development programs. In addition, with proposed cuts to class size reduction, we feel it sends the wrong message to relax reporting requirements on variances to pupil-teacher ratios at this time. For more than 20 years, the Academic Standards Council has worked to ensure high, measurable standards in English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, computer and technology education, the arts, and health and physical education. These standards are designed to help improve the academic achievement of Nevada students. The ongoing existence of the council is important to make sure deliberations about academic standards are public, with representation on the council that includes active educators. Regional Professional Development Programs, or RPDPs, have been a lifeline for educators across the state of Nevada. RPDPs develop curriculum resources, professional learning, individual and small group coaching, along with support for teachers in grades K-12 that include all areas covered by Nevada academic content standards. RPDP has played a key role in developing the state-mandated parental involvement, professional learning credits, learning and supports for the newly adopted computer science standards, and extensive training and support for math, ELA, and next-generation science standards. RPDPs have also been a great resource for teachers working toward their national board certification. Elimination of the RPDP regional governing bodies and statewide council could jeopardize the work of the RPDPs and would eliminate the voice of active educators on these bodies. Finally, we all know that Nevada is the largest class sizes in the country. This problem has been an ongoing focus of the legislature. With a proposed $156 million cut to class size reduction in the next biennium, Nevada could see ballooning class sizes. Given this, right now might not be the best time to relax reporting requirements on variances granted to pupil-teacher ratios. While class size variances can seem like just a formality, NSEA encourages decision makers to better appreciate the impact of these variances on the teaching and learning experience in the classroom. Finally, we're just seeing now the amendment proposed by CCA that supposedly a friendly amendment. We would oppose this amendment unless there is a balance struck with other education associations that are district-based across the state of Nevada. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go to the next one.
Caller with the last three digits of 692, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis, Vice Chair Dondera Loop, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przinski, MaryPierczynski, and I'm representing the Nevada Association of School Superintendents, which is an organization composed of all 17 superintendents in the state. We're in opposition to SB 76 as it is currently written, primarily because of the bill eliminates the regional governing boards of the Regional Professional Development Program. The RPDPs were created in the early 2000s to provide professional development for teachers throughout the state. Nevada needed professional development to meet the new requirements and No Child Left Behind. Districts, especially smaller ones, did not have the money to support large training programs. And so Governor Kenny Gwinn instituted the RPDPs to provide professional development. Districts went together to create the regional programs. There are 3 in existence now, and each has a governing board. The governing boards consist of a superintendent from each of the districts involved in that region, a teacher from each district, a representative from the Nevada System of Higher Ed, and a person from the Nevada Department of Education. We oppose the bill because the bill eliminates the 3 regional governing boards. The boards facilitate the decision-making necessary to respond to the local professional development needs of the districts they serve. Each district is unique, and you've already heard that. So the regional approach to the professional development has really worked well rather than a statewide approach. The governing boards coordinate the professional development efforts and allow for teacher and administrator voice. If all of that is moved to a state level, that will be lost. So we look forward to further conversations about the regional boards. We think they're very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to the next one.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 411, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Dennis and Vice Chair Dondera Loop and Committee on Education. This is Lindsay Anderson, Lindsay, Anderson on behalf of the Washoe County School District. Senator Dennis, you threw me off a little bit about where to testify. I'm testifying in opposition today, but I would like to make it clear that we are certainly in strong support of number 4 and 5 on the amendment presented by the Department of Ed today, namely removing the end of course exams and the allowal for dual enroll eligibility. As I understand, that came from a student within the Washoe County School District, and we'd like to see that move forward for her benefit. But as you heard from Ms. Brzezinski, the Washoe County School District Board of Trustees adopted a board platform that included full support for the regional professional development governing boards. We believe they are nimble and teacher-driven in order to meet student needs. We are concerned that the shared governance between the fiscal agent and the programming direct could lead to conflicting messages to our RPDP staff. So we'd like to continue to work through those issues with the Department of Ed. And then you've heard issues around the Academic Standards Council. That was included in our board platform as well. If nothing else, I think our district would like to see those meetings at least be in public. We do have many educators that like to watch and listen to those meetings as they go forward. And we know it has worked in the past. We've seen it work in the past. I remember when Senator Debbie Smith was the chair of the Council to Develop Academic Standards as the parent representative, and so we know it can work. Maybe with some of the technology that we're now all used to using, it'll be easier to meet quorum. But we certainly understand the plight of the Department of Ed. We ourselves have over 14 commissions that report to our Board of Trustees that are all subject to open meeting law. We know how difficult that can be. So we're not going to pick all of them, but we'd like to reconsider the RPDP and the Council to Develop Academic Standards. Thank you, Senator Dennis, and that's it.
Thank you. Okay, next person.
Chair, there are no more callers in opposition at this time.
Okay, so let's move then to hear testimony in neutral on this bill.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral on SB 76, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 539, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Evan Gong, E-V-A-N-G-O-N-G, and I was a member of the Nevada Youth Legislature from 2014 to 2015. During my time in the program, I advocated for issues concerning youth and had the opportunity to work closely with former Senator Joyce Woodhouse on improving financial literacy education in Nevada over the past 5 years. Today, I'm testifying in neutral regarding SB 76 because I'm concerned about the proposed abolishment of the Council on Financial Literacy in Section 9, which was only implemented in 2019 and needs time to develop. This council is very important because it provides the opportunity for businesses and educators to work closely to support financial literacy and encourages businesses to share their resources and expertise with students and teachers. In addition, I'd love to tell you why I think financial literacy is such an important issue for young people, as well as the history of our work promoting this issue over the past 4 years. I advocated for better financial literacy as a youth legislator in high school because I realized that our K through 12 school education did not include sufficient real-world practical skills. My peers shared similar concerns with me. Many of us had part-time jobs, but hardly knew about taxes. Many of us were enticed by tantalizing credit card offers without fully understanding the consequences of debt. And most importantly, many of us did not know how to keep an emergency savings fund in times of crises. My deep concern about financial literacy in our school system led me to reach out to former Senator Woodhouse, who sponsored SB 220 in 2015 and later reintroduced it as SB 249 in the 2017 session. SB 249 was signed into law in 2017 and expanded financial literacy to the 3rd through 12th grade academic standard. SB 314 in 2019 further improved on the progress we made by giving teachers the necessary resources and training to provide students with the best instruction possible on this topic. I'd also like to mention that the COVID-19 pandemic and measures taken thereafter to contain the virus have economically ravaged our state, resulting in massive job losses and sudden financial difficulties for thousands of people. However, too few Nevadans have adequate knowledge of financial literacy and emergency savings account or other systems in place to weather such a crisis. These trying times precisely underscore the need for financial literacy instruction and show why it is essential to the well-being of Nevadans. I remain unwavering in my commitment to financial literacy in hopes that thousands of students across Nevada will have the tools to think more prudently about their financial decisions. Thanks for your consideration of this issue, and I ask you to please help us ensure the continuity of this mission by retaining the Council on Financial Literacy in SB 76.
Thank you, Mr. Gong. It's good to hear from you. It's good to have seen you when you were state legislator and come back and advocate on this issue. Okay, well, let's go on to the next.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 232, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Dennis and members of the committee. For the record, my name is David Dazlich. That's D-A-Z-L-I-C-H, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs with the Las Vegas Chamber. We are here to testify in neutral today. As you know, the Chamber has been engaged on improving K-12 education in Nevada for many years. And while we had initially plans to oppose this bill after hearing the superintendent's presentation today and understanding the difficulty associated with filling these commission seats, the Chamber is now in neutral on this bill. We believe it's important that this work be able to proceed forward in a timely manner, and without these commission seats filled and the ability to meet quorum, then it is important that the Department of Ed move forward. In future, and for the record, we would also like to offer the Chamber's assistance whenever necessary in recruiting qualified individuals to fill seats on these boards and commissions as necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the next one.
Chair, there are no more callers in neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you. So let's bring it back to the committee. So before I close it, I want to let's see if any of the members have questions, and then I'm going to give Ms. Ebert a chance to finish up. Any other questions that have come up as you've heard testimony? Let me change to this view so I can see if you guys, any other questions? Yeah, Senator Donate. Okay, it says you're unmuted, but I don't hear you. So let's see. Nope, still. VPS, do we, oh wait, now it says you're muted. So now unmute and see if it starts working again. Keep talking, I don't hear it. So we need to get.
Senator Donate, this is Kim with BPS. There's that little caret by the mute button. If you toggle what it says at the top, select your microphone, click on same as system, then go back into the caret and go back to microphone, and that should jog it for you.
Good, did it work?
Yay.
Awesome, okay. The only thing that I would mention, it's not really a question, it's more of a comment. I would reiterate what Senator Buck requested earlier regarding getting us a list of what isn't staying, what isn't going, just a breakdown of that more concretely than what has been provided. And with that way we can compare with what the amendments are proposing. And then just as a recommendation to just tread lightly, I understand the sentiment of reducing the boards and why that is sometimes an impediment, but also the need for diversity in making sure that all voices are heard. So that is just the only request I would have. Thank you.
Thank you. And one thing on that list before I forget, the one that the superintendent showed us, it had 25 on there, but I believe Teachers and Leaders Council was on there twice. So, so if you, yeah, that would be great if you could get us I think a breakdown of that list that you had on I think we have that presentation, but so what else? What other questions do we have as a committee? Senator Lang.
Thank you. Mine too is just kind of a comment. I think oftentimes when we take away committees and we move the burden of whatever we're doing to let's just say for this purpose, the department, we lose voices of people that are actually doing the work in the schools, the teachers, and I just am having a really hard time losing that voice because I think it's so important. But I do have, may I ask a quick question, Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, in section 1, and I'm not sure if this is what Senator Hammond asked before, and if it is, then I think my question's been answered, but if it isn't, this may be new. In section 1, number 2, I think it is. Well, no. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. B. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's on the second page where it says on and before March 31st of each year. We've changed the report to be every 5 years. And I just wonder if the superintendent would talk about that a little bit, because I think things change a lot in 5 years. I think things change a lot in 2 years. And 5 years seems like a pretty long time to me.
Yeah, go. So that was section 1, subsection 2.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Lang, for the question. State Superintendent Ebert for the record. We were looking at several different resources as far as best practices for establishing long-term goals. And obviously 10 years is too long, 1 year is too short. And so we pulled business practices from the Harvard Business School as one example. What I would also add is that this is just the overarching plan itself. The accountability and reporting to the legislative body and to the governor would still remain in place. And so that is to be able to look at some of the reports real time. We provided you components of the Nevada report card. So the overarching planning, rehaul, setting that vision for 5 years with the improvement plan is what the proposal is. But the accountability components would still remain in place on an annual basis.
Thank you. And Chair, and you mentioned this just a minute ago, but I too would like, now that we've heard some testimony and I'd like some time to digest this and come back to it again.
Yeah, that was the intent. And what I will tell you is if this was about taking away voices in all these, that we currently have, then I wouldn't support this. I don't, and I won't speak for the superintendent, but I don't, my understanding is that those same voices would continue to be heard, and perhaps even better, because in some cases we're not hearing their voices because they're not able to make quorum in some of these. So yeah, I want to make sure that whatever, if this were to pass, that whatever we do, that those voices are still going to be heard. So, because I agree with you, I don't want to take, many of these commissions are ones that I helped support, and in some cases I created. So I want to make sure that all those different voices and the opportunities for the different pieces and voices throughout the state have that opportunity, whether it's teachers, whether it's parents, whether it's even business folks. We have those on there, and administrators and others. So want to make sure that all those voices are there. Other questions or comments? Okay. So with that, Superintendent, would you like to make any final comments before I close the hearing on the bill?
Thank you, Chair Dennis, for number one, the opportunity to be here. The team in the Nevada Department of Education spent a lot of time with our constituents, as you know, trying to take this opportunity of the crisis to make sure that we were agile, that we're responsive to our constituents, that we're inclusive of all those that we serve, and in a timely manner. So again, I just want to thank all of you for hearing our voices today. I also want to reiterate my thanks to your staff. This was a very long and complicated bill, and they were very helpful in giving us the right words, the technical words that need to happen to make this work happen. So thank you. I will also add that we will continue to work. Definitely heard the voices with the regional professional development programs and the concern to make sure that, especially, I mean, it's all of our districts, it's all of our teachers, every single one, every corner of our state. But I did hear a louder voice this afternoon, especially with our smaller rural districts, to ensure that there is support for the professional development need and the context within which they work. So we'll continue to work collaboratively with our partners, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here with us. So I will go ahead and close the hearing on SB 76, and we will move to our next item on the agenda, which is public comment. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person. And please remember to state and spell your name for the record and indicate your affiliation, if any. We'll broadcast the production services. Please add the first caller.
Thank you, Chair. To testify for public comment for SB 76, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Well, I know that we have Ms. Anderson and Ms. Brzezinski, and they normally do a good news minute, and I always like to finish with that. I don't know if they want to, if they have a good news minute for us today.
Chair Dennis, while you're waiting for our colleagues, may I do a good news minute?
Yes, please do.
We had a national awardee in the Hall of Fame. ACTE, Craig Statuki, our director, is being recognized for his lifelong work to support career and technical education. Not only here, he was formerly in the Clark County School District. He now is leading the work statewide. We're so glad he joined our team. And he was recognized for his work in the local, state, but at the national level. And so thank you for allowing me to recognize one of our team members who supports our entire state.
Thank you. That's wonderful. It's always good to see that we've got folks that are influencing education across the country, not just here, but that what we do here, we have some really good things that we do here, and to be recognized for that. That's great. So I don't know if we have it. Anybody sense connect, or actually, I believe we have Ms. Brzezinski and Ms. Anderson on our video thing that we could, if they want to come on. I don't see them unmuting. So, okay, maybe they don't have one today.
Don't have one today. We will have one next time.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead and then, and so we have no further items to come before us at this time. So we will go ahead, and our next meeting will be on Monday. So thank you all for being here today. As we, you know, if you've got concerns and other things on, especially on any of the bills that we have, let me know. Talk with our staff too, and we'll work with folks to try to see what we can do to bring these bills back if we can work out all the issues. So thank you very much for your time today, and we are adjourned.